This is going to be a video response to a 100 subs contest for TC over at the Kirkham Report. This was a contest that was started around Thanksgiving, and there are 10 questions that TC wants us to answer. TC's got a great channel. If you have not checked out the Kirkham Report yet, make sure you do. And he has supported my 100 subs contest, and so I in turn would like to participate in his, and he's got a great one here. There are 10 questions that he has asked, and I am going to do my best to try and answer each of those. The first one is an album that friends would think is a turkey. And for that, I am going to go with Thomas Dolby's The Golden Age of Wireless, which was released in 1982. This is the American version. The British version does not contain the singles She Blinded Me with Science and Europa and the Pirate Twins. But most people, when they think of Thomas Dolby, they immediately think, oh, that was a novelty track that he had, was She Blinded Me with Science. And it's just very much kind of a part of the early 1980s MTV. I don't want to call it generation or whatnot, but this is actually an excellent album, particularly if you have a fondness for early new wave, alternative, very much keyboard, synthesized, oriented rock. Every single track on here is very melodic, and it's almost, selling it short, saying that Thomas Dolby, all he ever did was She Blinded Me with Science, because this is really a great album from start to finish. It's very much of its time, but it's a time that I grew up during, and so I really do have a fondness for that. Question number 2 is an album that would be good to play during your Thanksgiving meal. I'm late to the game on this, but I would pick this one. I'm picking all CDs just because I'm kind of in my office area. There's a lot of things going on downstairs where I normally do my videos and where all my albums are, so just a note about that. But I would choose Vince Guaraldi's A Charlie Brown Christmas. This actually has a track on it called Thanksgiving Theme. It's included as a bonus track on this particular CD, but it's just a great way to get into the Christmas spirit, especially if you grew up watching the Charlie Brown TV series, as I did. And if you're a big fan of classic jazz, this would be one to throw on while you're having your Thanksgiving meal. Question number 3 is an album that we thought would be a turkey, but then it turns out we actually enjoyed it quite a bit, and we were wrong. For me, that is going to be the Monkees' Good Times. Really, I hadn't been a huge fan of more recent Monkees albums like Pool It or Just Us. Just Us was a lot better than Pool It, but still, I just never had much of a connection to it. And so I thought, okay, we're even 10 years on from Just Us. How could this album possibly be any good? And boy, was I surprised. If you're a Monkees fan and you haven't given this one a chance, definitely check it out. They, just like they did in their 60s golden age, they have used outside songwriters, contemporary artists have written songs for the Monkees, and it is just a fantastic album. Unfortunately, Davey is only represented by the track Love to Love, which was a track that they pulled from I believe it was recorded around 1966 or 1967. And so it's a track that you've probably heard if you own either Monkey Business or one of the, actually it's on the Listen to the Band box set, and I think you can also find it on one of the Missing Links compilations. But nonetheless, every other track on here is just great. It's such a solid album from start to finish, and I actually find myself listening to this more than I do some of the Monkees' classic albums. So just a really great album there. Now, number 4 is an album cover with some type of food on it, and we get extra points if it has an association with Thanksgiving. Now, I I suppose that you could have baked beans for Thanksgiving, right? But this is one of my favorite Who albums. This is the Who Sell Out, and you've got Roger Daltrey here sitting in a vat of baked beans, and very cold baked beans. I think he actually came down with pneumonia or something after this photo session, but this is a great album, and a great food related album cover as well. Number 5 is going to be our favorite sports related album. I'm going to go with Huey Lewis and the News Sports. I think I first heard this album when I was about, I don't know, 11 or 12. And I had it on cassette, and so I used to listen to it on the bus to and from school every day. And I still have a nostalgia for it. It's not an album that I listen to very much, but it's got some decent tracks on it. It might be his biggest selling album, either this or the next one, but it's got the heart of rock and roll, Heart and Soul, I Want a New Drug is great, If This Is It. So just really a cool kind of 80s feel-good type of album. Not that there's any real sports related tracks on there. I'm not sure why it was even called sports, but that's the nearest thing that I have to a sports album. Number 6 is going to be an album by a group I would most like to invite to Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to go with Wilco. I just saw an interview with Jeff Tweedy on Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers. I forget which one it was, but what a down-to-earth guy. If you've ever seen him in concert, he is just so unassuming. He's funny. Jeff Tweedy is just about as down-to-earth a guy as you will ever meet. Not that I have, but he just strikes me as somebody who I would just love to have a dinner with and have conversation with. And the other members of the band are not quite as, I guess, accessible in terms of like media or interviews, I don't think, but they're all just real gifted musicians, and so I think it would be very cool to have them over for dinner. Number 7 question is all-time favorite Macy's Day balloon. I'm going to go with Underdog. I love that cartoon growing up, and so I am going to go with my boy, Underdog. Number 8, favorite Thanksgiving tradition. Probably watching the Lions lose on Thanksgiving during the early football game. I'm obviously, if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm from Detroit, a long-suffering Lions fan. I believe we're the only team in the NFC who's never gone to the Super Bowl. We have one playoff win since 1957. So, yeah, but one thing we have every year is the Lions on TV Thanksgiving Day, just in time to spoil our Thanksgiving dinner. Sometimes they win, but it's very few and far between. The Lions really are terrible. Number 9, the first Christmas song that I play every year is Nat King Cole's The Christmas Song. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose. That was actually me singing. I know it sounded like Nat King Cole, but that was me singing. That was actually my voice. But no, I just wanted to get the extra entry. So that's my very poor Nat King Cole impression. But I just love that. Is if I could only hear one Christmas song every year, to me, that is the quintessential Christmas song. My dad had on vinyl the original Nat King Cole, The Christmas Song album, and I loved listening to that song and just reading the, 1960, early 1960s, late 1950s, whatever it was, liner notes about how great each track was. But that's my favorite Christmas album of all time. And then number 10, what am I thankful for? I actually would probably say that for me, I have worked, it's been 9 months now, worked from home, and I have 2 young children who are being schooled virtually from home, and we've never had this much time together during the course of a regular year, because usually during the school year they're off at school and then they go to aftercare, and then at most, you know, maybe I spend 3 to 4 hours with them during a given day. And so now we're with each other all the time, for better or for worse. And I think that it's really been a blessing in some ways. If there's a silver lining in 2020, for me, it's been the fact that I've been able to spend so much time with my kids where ordinarily I would not. So anyway, that is my contest entry, TC. You got a great channel, and I'm so glad that I discovered it, and I hope that we'll be bouncing videos back and forth for a long time to come. Take care.